This is NPR News.
And this is Baltimore's NPR News station, 88.1 WYPR. The news is next, then it's On the Record.
We're On the Record. I'm senior producer Melissa Geer in for Sheila Cast. Good morning. More than a century ago, audiences became captivated with the action and melodrama of silent films. Patrons sat in dark auditoriums as larger-than-life actors appeared on screen, delivering over-the-top emotions to tell a story. A pianist, or sometimes a small orchestra, would play music to match the mood of the scene and enhance the viewer's experience. Moviegoers can get a taste of the silent film era at the 25th Maryland Film Fest. Oscar Micheaux's silent film Body and Soul screens tomorrow, Saturday, May 4th at 11 a.m. The film was produced, written, and directed by Micheaux, who was the first major black filmmaker in the U.S. We'll have more details about that in a few minutes. Joining me now to talk about it is musician and composer Aaron Hill. Hill's music is born of jazz, hip-hop, and gospel. He'll be providing live musical accompaniment for the film. Hill is also a mental health artist and advocate. Welcome to On the Record, Aaron.
Thank you for having me.
The film Body and Soul was made in 1925, almost 100 years ago. Yes. Very generally, can you give a little synopsis of what the film is about? Because I know there are spoilers in there, and we don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, no problem at all. The film is a direct counter to the perception of African Americans of that time. Specifically movies like Birth of a Nation. Mm-hmm. And so it tells the story in that way and shows us in a different light. It shows the traumas that we go through and the nightmares that are caused by those traumas. But what the real truth is, which is actually maybe positive or good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was a certain way that African Americans were depicted in film at that time, and Micheaux really turned that on its head.
And not only in film, because as we know, movies are just real life on screens. So it was the way that people were projected in society at that time, as well as in movies. Yeah.
Do you know what the response was when this film came out? I mean, have you read about that at all?
Some of which I do know. The African-American people of that time, some of them were not in support of the movie because, so the famous actor and singer, Paul Robeson of that time, it was his debut.
Oh, wow.
So that was another reason why it was pretty special. But the African-Americans, many of them were not interested in it and didn't support it initially because of the portrayal of Robeson as a black preacher taking advantage of people in the church and taking the money and that kind of thing. Mm. They didn't think that that was a good perception. They actually thought that that furthered the negative perception. But what Micheaux had in mind, in my opinion, from watching the movie, was to show that this wasn't real. It's actually just a nightmare from us going through other things.
Mm-hmm. So kind of what you see on the screen is really more representative of something, and there's more behind it, which is part of the spoiler that we don't want to... Yeah.
I'm sorry, but, I told someone the other day, every movie that we watch, we already know the ending, but what makes it interesting is the story.
That's a good take. What can you tell us about the filmmaker, Oscar Micheaux?
Oscar Micheaux was a pioneer of his time. He paved the way for a lot of the famous black filmmakers of today, specifically because of having over 40 films that were all about turning around the perception of black people at that time, financing his own films, all black cast, and people that of that time were popular in their own right. So he was a Renaissance man. In
1925. Film. Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
I want listeners to hear some of your music. Here is a clip from Home. What was your reaction when you were invited to accompany this silent film?
I was appreciative of my brother, Kevin Brown, and friend, the owner of
Nancy
by
by Snack.
Yeah, who was the one that recommended me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was truly honored because 100 years, in the making as far as this happening, and first of its kind at the Parkway Theatre, and many people have never seen a silent movie or experienced it before, so it's just monumental in every way.
Had you done something like this before? I mean, I know you're a very accomplished musician, but as far as accompanying a film?
So I have in many different capacities. And like I was saying, since movies are made of real life, when you play for plays and play productions, those are movies, especially since they're recording and watching later. So between being a church musician and live scoring the environment, and going to school for arranging, and I've produced for other productions and films and that kind of thing. Not like a silent movie, but yeah, I have a lot of experience in this area.
And so are you recreating a score for the film, or will it be improvised? What's your approach?
So it's one of those things where, you know how sometimes you ask a question, there's like three answers, and
yes.
And it's like, yes. So it's one of those kind of situations. This is actually what makes it the most fun. What I'm doing and going to do is improvise. I'm going to play a few songs that I know that fit particular scenes. I'm going to borrow from some of the other scores that have been done for this and be inspired by that. It's all of the above as far as how I'm prepping and what I plan to do.
And so how are you how have you been prepping for this?
Yeah. I've watched the movie a number of times, just soaking it in, taking it in. While doing that, I've listened to the compositions that have been written for it. I've turned the sound off and watched it silently and played to it myself. I played at the theater with it. And then I've also done even more deep research as far as the history of everyone here, which then informs me how to play to their character of who they are in life in a very, very deep way. Oh,
you mean the actors?
Yeah.
Who? Oh, wow. Okay, that is a lot of background. And what instruments or instrument? I know you play many.
I will be playing solo piano and percussion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going to have 2 keyboards, and I'm also going to be playing percussion.
And it's just you.
And it is just I.
This is On the Record. I'm Melissa Gear, speaking with musician and composer Aaron Hill. He's performing a live improvised score to the silent film Body and Soul tomorrow at 11 a.m. It's part of the 25th Maryland Film Fest. And you play every Monday night at our house in Remington. Here is a short clip of that band. Will your music for the film be reminiscent of those performances?
100%.
Excellent.
Every Monday night is what they call Baltimore's Best Jam Session. It's based in jazz, but the name of the band is called That Feel Good, and it's because it's all about pure feel good music. So what we play on Monday night in improvisation and in a little planning and that kind of thing is definitely 100% representative of it. And then specifically genre speaking, I'll be playing some jazz songs in the midst of all these other free improvisations and soundscapes. I'll also be playing some classic jazz standards, specifically starting off with Body and Soul.
Body and Soul, right.
So
that sounds amazing. In addition to music, you're really involved in mental health awareness and working with people in that vein.
Yes.
Does this music connect to that work at all?
It does connect to that work. Every piece of music that I write is specifically for music therapy. My mentor was a music therapist. So I do this for a profession as well, and even in Baltimore, working with veterans for the last 2 years and people all around Baltimore, where I'm actually composing music and doing live workshops that actually help people to de-stress and these kind of things through the music. So when people walk away from this movie, they will feel less stressed because of my stress relief formula through music.
Wow. So get to watch a film as well as have this kind of sound bath.
You could not have said it better.
What have you learned through this creative process? It sounds like this, even with all of your background of being involved in different things, it sounds like this even stretched you a little bit in a really interesting way.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I learned is that if you continue to push toward a goal, you'll reach it one day. My favorite pianist, his name is Keith Jarrett, and he is one of the world's most popular improvisational pianists, hundreds of recordings. If you listen to his recordings, they are scores to the movie of life. I'm influenced by him in a major way, and it's a deep part of my style. So this is the pairing of exactly what I've already been doing, and even what I did during the pandemic for 160 concerts outside. Like, yes, it's that.
Your sidewalk serenade, your street serenades.
Street serenades.
Yeah, wow. So it's kind of everything coming together.
Yes.
What do you want the audience to come away with from viewing the film and hearing your live accompaniment?
Yeah. The first thing I want the audience to come away with is some new perspective on life, because of now a new education, a new experience, or a new exposure to something that maybe they hadn't been before watching this film. The world has always made a better place just because of that. And then I want people to walk away just understanding the joy of what it's like and what it was like in the very beginning to have live music while watching the movie. I think this is going to be one of those things that not only starts here, but it becomes a thing. And I think I'm going to be doing a lot of these kind of films from this point because of this experience and what people experience from it.
Well, that is a lot to look forward to.
It really is.
That's great. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you.
Aaron Hill is a musician, composer, and mental health artist and advocate. Tomorrow, Saturday, May 4th at 11 a.m., he'll perform an improvised score to the silent film Body and Soul by Oscar Micheaux. It's part of the 25th Maryland Film Fest. There are several other events coming up where you can hear Hill's music, including the Soulful Sunday Brunch the next day, May 5th, at La Familia Soundstage, and also every Monday night at our house in Remington. We have more information about all of those at the On the Record page at wypr.org. Short break on the record. When we're back, a Stoop story. I'm senior producer Melissa Gear in for Sheila Cast.